Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Horror Room. I'm Travis Bruce, and today we're going to do another Women of Horror Spotlight. I have with us Anne Myrna. She is the producer of a 2022 1950 comedy horror sci-fi film that came out. It's streaming on Tubi right now. Please go watch it. It's amazing. It came from somewhere, and she just finished up the production for the sequel. They came back from somewhere. Anne, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
I'm happy to have you. So, for individuals who haven't seen the first one, please tell us a little bit about it, some backstory.
So the idea came from Steve Herman, who is the writer of the script, and he likes to watch Mystery Science Theater 3000, where they kind of poke fun at different movies, and he also likes old school Ed Wood, Roger Corman films. So he was just sitting there watching it, and I think it was Plan 9 from Outer Space was on, and he thought, wouldn't it be fun to make a movie like this? To make it look like it was filmed in the 1950s with intentional things in it to mimic B movies of the 50s. Mm-hmm. And so he asked a bunch of us that have worked with him before what we thought of the idea, and we're like, yeah, everybody was in on it. So he put together a script, and it came from somewhere, runs just a little over an hour, and it's a story of some teens who realize that a spaceship has crash landed on Earth, and as they go about, trying to make sure everybody's okay, they kind of get grabbed by some aliens, they get split up. There was a creature on board as well who starts to wreak havoc on the town. So they're doing their best to keep all their friends and family safe from the aliens and the creature.
Yes, and I love the black and white. I'm a huge Mystery Science Theater fan, so I love the B movie early cheese, like even like the little spaceship flying on. I loved it. Everything from a skeleton, it was amazing. So
yeah. So we filmed it in the 4:3 aspect ratio. We put it's in black and white, and then we put like graininess and scratches in the film through the editing process, so that it again looks old. Starts off with a little old commercial, as if you were in a drive-in. So hopefully it'll be a nostalgic experience for people who are older, and for those who are young and never watched any of this stuff when they were younger, might be something that stirs an interest in checking out some of the old B movies of the 50s.
I agree, because those are some great ones. They're excellent movies. Now, I'm excited to see that there's a sequel and you finish up the production on it. Tell us a little bit about where they came back from somewhere.
Yes, so it kind of picks up where the first story left off. Some of the most loved characters from the first one are in the sequel. So Quasar, who is one of the main aliens, and Luma, they're still in there, but there are some additional aliens. I play an alien this time. My character name is Zumo, and I'm kind of one of the old school aliens, along with Supreme Leader. And I actually regenerate my son, Luma, so that he can come back to Earth to be with his beloved human Patty. And then there's a new set of younger aliens that are charged with keeping an eye on Quasar and Luma and trying to bring them back to the spaceship. They stash a new creature on board the ship with them. And again, he gets out when they crash land, and he starts to wreak some havoc. We've got some secret special agents in this one who are, just classic 1950 style, peek around the corner kind of guys. Just lots of fun. And again, kind of lean really heavy into the cheesiness and letting mistakes just be in the film. So we would do 1 or 2 takes per scene. We would not keep reshooting it to perfection. We just kind of let things roll. If a prop got bumped a little bit, and we have some like control panels in the spaceship that they start off like this, and by the time the actors walk past them, they're kind of dangling from fishing line, a little crooked. a lot of the interior props for the spaceship I made by saving a week's worth of recycling and spray painting everything.
Nice.
Piling some things on top of each other. We did kind of a curtain backdrop in the spaceship, which mimics Plan 9. Some of the emotions of the humans, again, are like super over the top in terms of acting style. So we just had a lot of fun with it. It's a really easy shoot because you don't shoot coverage the way you shoot a regular current day independent film. Typically if three people are having a conversation, you want to get the camera angled to get coverage for each person and then intercut the stuff. We just kind of took a medium shot. Everybody's in frame. Sometimes people are standing like super close together to fit them all in frame.
I mean, I even love like I was even telling you in the original, like where Quasar or his partner would shoot someone and they would just a plastic skeleton would just fall, and I just love the comedy aspect of it. So how
Yeah.
long did it take production wise for the second one?
We shot 6 days.
6 days. Wow. Okay.
Yep.
So beginning and end. Now, do we have a release date planned?
Not exactly yet. It'll be before the end of the year for sure. It'll probably get fully cut together and off to sound within 2 weeks at the most. And again, it cuts together fast because you don't have all those takes and coverage to decide from. And then it'll go off to sound and we'll get some new music in it. Tony Parsons did the composition and the theme for the first film, and he'll do that for the sequel as well. But he knows it's coming, so he's already got some ideas brewing there.
Amazing. And will this one be coming to streaming service as well?
Yes, we use Film Hub to submit to streaming platforms, and so typically our stuff shows up initially Amazon Prime Video and Tubi, and then there are other smaller streaming platforms that it's up to them. Film Hub presents it to a bunch of platforms, and it's up to them to pick it up. And we can't control the timing on any of that. But one thing that Steve Herman believes in is getting the work out. He's not going to hold it in post-production and tweak it for a year. And that does happen with some indie films. He's a man on a mission. He's going to get it out there so that people can right. Then we'll also offer physical media. We'll offer DVDs for this one as well.
Okay, awesome. So, Ann, what got you into the film industry?
Well, I kind of got started late. So I was in plays in high school. And then I worked in information technology for over 40 years and thought I need to do something creative. I just haven't done anything creative in like forever. So I looked into doing background acting. I'm in the Chicago area and a lot of network TV shows are shot in Chicago. So I found who cast background, worked on a few shows that way, to kind of learn a lot of the on-set terminology because I had never had any training with on camera, and I liked it. And I met tons of interesting people, so I decided that I was going to, kind of go for that. So took some acting classes, got a couple talent agents, and so the agents handle submissions to things like speaking roles on Chicago Med and Chicago Fire. Those are things that an individual actor can't get access to. But then there's tons of indie work that's being done and also tons of student films that are done. So I started submitting to those, booked a few roles, met the folks with AcroStar Films. I auditioned for a role in one of their films a couple years ago and was not cast, but I asked if I could help out somehow with the production because Steve Herman was pretty much doing everything himself. He's an indie author, so he had written books and then he's kind of adapting them to film, writing the scripts. He runs camera, he does the editing, he was organizing the actors and everything. So I just volunteered to help, and he asked me if I wanted to function as a producer, and so I've worked with him on like 4 films now. And we've got a good rhythm between the two of us with stuff that he prefers to do, things that I prefer to do, lots of communication back and forth. And we run a pretty smooth ship. A lot of planning goes into, like setting up the list of what scenes we can film every day. And that's kind of a bit of a jigsaw puzzle to put together first, because most actors don't have the entire filming week available, so you have to fit around their schedule, and then locations, and um, just the different settings and different props and stuff we'll need. And then we try to use local background extra actors, rather than actually, like posting for those. We'll go more toward local people. So we tend to film in central Illinois, and there's not a whole lot of production down there. So the people who show up are there because they really want to be there and really want to be part of a film. They're not just there for some free snacks and stuff like that. So everybody's very cooperative. Everybody's very helpful, and it's really a fun process.
Have there, since your first movie, have you noticed there be any challenges in the filmmaking industry from then to now, 2023?
Well, I would say the biggest challenge in making a film is the availability of the actors. Some folks are really good, and when you say, I don't want to offer you this role, here's when we think we'll shoot. Some people hold that entire time, which is really what you should do as an actor. And if the other opportunities come up and your dates have not been locked down solid, you should go to that director that asked you to keep that whole week open and say, well, I've had something come up. Is there a way I can be at the beginning of the schedule, the end of the schedule, middle of the schedule, or whatever? But some people just say, oh, something better came up, I'm just going to drop. And sometimes, a role has been tweaked with that specific actor in mind. So it can have kind of a domino effect on the script. We can't always get a replacement for the person that we really intended to be in that role. We can, we've known a lot of people. We can call some friends, and especially if it gets down close to the shoot date, you're asking someone a huge favor to pick up a role for somebody who dropped, because there's not that preparation time, and every actor wants to show up on set prepared. So I would say, actor availability is a big challenge. Budget is also a huge challenge. We use crowdfunding through Indiegogo to raise funds for our films. And I have to ask for money on a daily basis. I can't just put the campaign up and hope people will find it. I mean, we do find people who or they find us, and we had no contact with them before, and it's awesome. It's like, woohoo, a new person. This is so exciting. But we also get a lot of repeat contributors because we actually finish
Cult followers.
What we start. But yeah, it's difficult to raise money, and we have never raised what our actual budget is. So you can always use help there.
As always. So what's next? Got anything else in the works?
Oh, heavens, yes. As an actor, I'm working on a couple small projects coming up in September and October that are not with Acrostar Films, but with other filmmakers. Andre Boyd is someone who's in the Chicago market that I work with periodically, and we're finishing up a scene for a short of his. I have a project with a relatively new company called Six Pines Media. They're out of Peoria, Illinois, and that again is a short. That'll film in October. And then with Acrostar Films, our next filming is in November, and that's a psychological thriller called Disremembered.
Disremembered. Okay. Yeah. And that's going to be shot in Illinois as well?
Yes, in central Illinois.
It's going to be cold?
That cast includes Angel Bradford and Morgan Thompson, Kelsey Baker, and Beth Metcalf. And then we have two of the characters' younger versions of them. That's Olivia Tracy and Al Vitucci. And we've already filmed a couple proof of concept scenes, and we've started kind of like a pre-launch on Indiegogo for that, just to collect people's email addresses who would be interested in the campaign, and hope to launch that either this week or next week in terms of the actual campaign opening up.
Awesome. Now, shooting a movie in Illinois, it can be cold, snowy. Do you have to watch out for that? Is that a factor?
Oh, it's a factor. It was so hot when we filmed. They came back from somewhere. I mean, it was like 94 degrees and 96% humidity.
Wow.
It was miserable. We had 3 days where we were shooting outside, and I had, like, you check the weather forecast and stuff,
Yeah.
but you can't control it. And once you have it all scheduled, particularly on not just this past Sunday, but the Sunday before, we were shooting in downtown Farmers City, Illinois, and they have a really nice, quaint main street, and they just put barricades out on the sidewalk, and we can block the street whenever, we kind of feel like it on the weekend. And so I had background extras. I had booked people with classic cars to decorate the set so that the street
Nice.
looked like 1950s. And it was so hot, and I got almost half of the background people showed up. A little less than half of the cars showed up, but we just, we kind of position things, and people try to make it look like a little more than it actually is. But you know what? Nobody complained about the heat. It was incredible that people were not complaining, because everyone was just drenched with sweat. I mean, you couldn't not sweat. And you're out there and you're walking on an asphalt street,
Yeah,
which really retains the heat. And we had a couple days in the woods where we were in the shade, but still, it was just really, really hot. So that is a concern. I don't think we've ever shot outside in the winter time. We do have, in Illinois, the winter can last a really long time. So we're shooting in November, but those are all interior scenes,
Okay.
almost all at one location. We do have a separate location for a couple scenes. And then in April of next year, we're shooting a slasher called Night of the Dead Sorority Babes.
Nice.
And that one, again, it's in April, kind of early April, and we do have a property book that's on a lake. So we were going to do a few things outside, but there were a lot of nice features. It's like an Airbnb type of thing. A lot of nice features of this location, so that the sorority babes had a lot of things to do. There's a hot tub, happens to be inside. There's like a bar area, an electronic dartboard, a game table, foosball, I think. So we're able, again, to not have to move from location to location and try to book different locations. It's very difficult to film like in a bar, because a lot of bars are open almost 24/7.
Yeah.
So you don't get enough. There's not enough downtime when there's no customers in there, and almost every small business doesn't want to just totally shut down, even if you're going to make them famous by listing them in the credits or something. It just it doesn't make sense to even ask people that kind of stuff. So so far weather hasn't been a problem. I hope we're going to do some proof of concept scenes in January. So we do have some actors who are traveling to Illinois in January, and again, that can cause problems, just because if something gets jammed up at a different airport, not even the Chicago airport, let's say Denver, has problems. If somebody's connecting through Denver, they're going to be delayed. So almost everything we can work around. We did a zombie film, Attack of the Corn Zombies, in May.
I saw that. I haven't watched it yet, but
that was not quite out yet. It is like on the verge of release. We're just tweaking the sound a little bit at the end. But with that one, we had a cast member who actually had to go they filmed their day one, and they were supposed to be on set day two, and at night, day one, they had an issue and had to go to the emergency room and ended up getting admitted. So we had to kill them off a little differently than we had originally planned. But it's like, okay, what are the options? Here's the situation. We need to solve the problem. What are the options? Let's pick one of the options.
Especially with indie film, you can't delay the process.
Not really.
Yeah, you kind of have to. It's quick, fast. I mean, that's an indie movie, but I think it's a little sped up a little more with an indie movie.
Yeah, and people were traveling from different locations and stuff, so it would have been, we could have rescheduled that shoot date for several weeks out or whatever. But by the time you get everybody's schedules together again, and you get the location set up again, and you got to redo all the SFX stuff to match where you were at. It's usually best just to find a way to push through it some way.
Okay. All right, and so this is a horror channel, so I got 2 horror questions for you. Are you ready?
Yep.
All right. Growing up, what was one horror movie that today still freaks you out?
The Exorcist.
A lot of people say that.
Yeah, because that it really makes you. To me, it makes me think about whether that stuff can actually happen or not.
Because they say it's a true story, so
yeah.
All right. So the second question I got for you is, if you could remake any iconic classic horror movie, what movie, and put your own little spice and your own spin on it, what would it be?
Oh, I have never been asked that question. Maybe it would be difficult to better the original, but something with like a psychological aspect to it, like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Okay.
Like that, yeah.
Yeah, because that hasn't been touched. I mean, no one hasn't touched that, so I mean,
no,
yeah,
nobody has.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. Like a lot of the horror movies, they've already the good ones have been somebody tried to reboot them and they usually didn't turn out great. Or there's ones like Nightmare on Elm Street that like don't touch because they're so good. Like I'm kind of nervous about the new Exorcist that's coming out.
You know? Yeah. You don't. I mean, it's difficult because you have in your mind what the original was, and usually when I try to watch a remake, I try to just dismiss that and say, okay, I'm just going to watch the film, and not worry about what the original was or anything. But it's hard to not compare while you're watching it.
It really is, especially if the original was so great.
Yeah.
And, like I'm a huge Nightmare on Elm Street Freddy Krueger fan, and the original was so good. I mean, probably one of the best horror movies ever made. And to watch the reboot, which is probably one of the worst horror movies made, I'm like, well, how can you go that off on something that was so good? I'm not expecting you to be as good as this, but you can't be that bad. So
yeah. I mean, one of the things like with ActorStar films that's probably different than a lot of other indie film making companies is that we don't feel like doing like fan films. A lot of people do, and a lot of people, I mean, they raise tons of money in their crowdfunding campaigns and stuff because there's already a built-in fan base for those characters. But I think if you have a good writer, which Steve Herman is a very good writer, it's nice to have fresh characters and build the relationship from character to character, and and how it weaves into the story and everything. I really like that. Rather than saying, "Oh, well, this fan film has Jason in it, and we know what Jason's supposed to be doing, and maybe he'll do something a little different." But you're coming with all those preconceived notions. We would rather start with a clean slate.
Exactly. Well, Anne, how can everyone find you?
You can find me as an actor and a person at AnneMyrna.com. And you can find AcroStar Films at acrostarfilms.com. We also have a very large Facebook group. We've got about 4,600 people in there now. So from our website, you can link over to that Facebook group and join up. We try to do things for other filmmakers in addition to just promoting our own films. So we have like on Monday, people can comment about horror conventions that either they're involved with or they like to participate in. We've got a day when you can just kind of talk about what you're working on. And then on Fridays, we let people post links to Indiegogo or any crowdfunding platforms where you have not yet met your goal. We don't really want to boost the people that are already in demand and just raking in the cash left and right. We want to help out people who are still pounding the pavement and trying to make their goals.
That's absolutely awesome. Everyone, please check out It Came From Somewhere. It's streaming right now, free on Tubi. It's fun. If you love mystery science theater, which I'll do. If you love that cheesy B 1950s horror comedy sci-fi, definitely check it out and look forward to the sequel that's coming out soon on all major streaming services. They Came Back From Somewhere. And it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for coming on.
Well, thank you so much, Travis. I had a blast.
Yes, and you're more than welcome to come back on to promote anything else in the future.
Will do. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. All right, everyone. Thank you for coming to the Horror Room. I'm Travis Bruce. I'll see you guys next time. Take care.